So there are several types of federal licenses, things that you need before you can produce or sell or import beverage alcohol. Sort of two classifications. There's a basic permit, which is a license. There's for a distilled spirits plant, that's distilleries, bottling plants, things like that, under 27 CFR Part 19. Second, bonded winery. That's for your normal winery that you would think of, just with vineyards and things like that. Also, big bottling houses that just take wine from other places and bottle it in mass. That's 27 CFR Part 24. Also, there's the import license. That's so you can import beverage alcohol from other countries into the United States. 27 CFR Part 27. And a wholesale permit, which basically allows you to resell alcohol, receive alcohol, sell alcohol for profit, not on the retail level. That's 27 CFR 1.22. There's another type, brewer's notice. It's not really a federal license. It's more of a sort of like a tax classification under 26 USC Chapter 51, and that concerns breweries, brew pubs, and pilot brewing plants. There's a couple other federal licenses as well, mostly dealing with industrial alcohol. We're not really going to get into those because they tend not to be the focus of our practice or big regulations. So going into how to qualify. So applicants can qualify unless they meet certain circumstances, which are, if the applicant or anyone associated with the company, meaning officers, directors, principal stockholders, not like a lower level employee, but somebody that has interest in the company or is a named officer. If they've been convicted of a felony in the past 5 years, whether it's federal or state, regardless. If you've been convicted of a felony in the past 5 years, you'll be disqualified. Or if you've been convicted of a misdemeanor related to liquor in the past 3 years, but that's only on the federal level. We get people who ask, I've had a DUI, will that disqualify me from opening a distillery? And the answer is probably not. TTB will ask you questions about the incident, and they do a background check. But though, the felony in the past 5 years and the misdemeanor federal related to liquor in the past 3 years are the big ones. Next is unlikely to commence operations in a reasonable time frame. What that really means is, we won't issue your permit if you don't even have a building or a lease or anything. You have nothing set up to commence operations at all. They're not going to issue you a license for the future. It doesn't mean you can't get one before everything's in place, but you can't just get your license and 3, 4, 5 years down the line decide to build your distillery. Unlikely to operate in conformity with federal law. That's basically if you're a moonshiner, well, you're probably not going to operate in conformity with federal law, so they wouldn't give you a permit for that. And also if the proposed operations are in violation of state law. And what they mean there is, if a state has a certain prohibition or law regulation in place to prevent, say, a distillery from opening within a mile of a school, well, if the state precludes it, then the federal government follows that as well. So, next. There is a bunch of personal information that they want for the applicants, not just the corporate entity that owns the distillery, the winery, the importer, or what else, but they want information about the individuals who own and operate, who would be owning and operating the permit. So that's basically like, social security number, your date of birth, your height, your weight. They actually ask your mother's maiden name, your father's name, and a few other things. They want to know your arrest record, like I mentioned before, your criminal history, your business background history. They want to know, for the most part, depending on what permit you're applying for, but in general, about 5 to 10 years of employment history, 5 to 10 years of residences, And it's not completely invasive, but they do ask a lot. This is called an OOI, owner and officer information, and it's required for producers, for the most part, breweries, wineries, and distilleries. A partial OOI application is required for importers and wholesalers in most cases, unless you've lived outside of the country for a number of years or you're not an American citizen. Then they'll want the full OOI in those cases if you're an importer or wholesaler. So importer or wholesaler, you pretty much have to do the first part of the application, give your date of birth, all things like that, but they don't ask, they want to know your residences for like the past 5 years. They don't need full employment history. They don't need 5 references. They don't need a bank reference, things like that. The next thing another thing that they'll want personally are source of funds information. Basically, that's bank records. Whatever account you are using to fund the business, wherever the funds have flowed from, whatever you've used to build your distillery, buy the building, buy equipment, get a lease, they want to see the account where those funds are coming from. And basically for that, they want 3 months of bank statements. So if you open your corporate bank account 3 months prior and you've been funding your business, they just want to see the past 3 statements. If you've taken loans or gifts or credit, they may want to see that as well, and you need to disclose that to T2B. Last thing, current photo ID for our main point of contact. It's pretty easy. Just they want a color copy scan of your driver's license, just so they, if they do go out to a facility, which they can, they know who to talk to.